Microsoft's Project Scarlett, what is rumored to be such capable hardware, could, according to many, be held back. After all, how will Microsoft leverage such capability if games are still coded for old systems like the Xbox One S and even the Xbox One X? Well, Microsoft have officially spoken about this, their launch in 2020, software compatibility, and more. Let's get into it. What is going on, guys? Dealer here, back again with yet another video talking about the latest and greatest when it comes to Microsoft Xbox Project Scarlett. I talk about it because it legitimately excites me. The future of gaming has never been brighter, even though so many seem to want to destroy it all. Look, there's some good stuff going on, especially in the hardware area when it comes to these next generation 2020 consoles. Truly the golden age of hardware in a console. SSDs, ray tracing, crazy performance, and more. CPUs that can do all kinds of frame rates. I've covered them with a ton of depth here, so if you haven't caught the videos, check them out. They're in the backlog. But of course, today we're talking about compatibility. We're talking about the power you're going to see from something like Project Scarlett, even though the games will still run on older machines. We've got pretty much everything you want to know there, including statements by Microsoft, and we'll make out of those what we can. They're also talking about games, compatibility, software, stuff like that. Of course, as always, everything linked down below. If you enjoy the video, maybe subscribe, maybe hit the like button. Thank you so much. Let's get into the first topic. Head of Xbox Game Studios says there's no need to save games for Project Scarlett. Now, not only does he cover first-party titles that are coming to Xbox in the future, but he does cover something people are very confused about, which is the scalability that they are not used to between generations. That being your ability to take an old console and play new next-generation games on it. We have a lot to cover, let's get started. In a recent GamesIndustry.biz article, Matt Booty does say the following: "We feel confident in our content pipeline, so we don't feel that we need to save anything up for the best." Obviously, by best, he means Project Scarlett. Now, for one, this is awesome to hear, and if you watched my last video, you know exactly how many titles they have slated for 2020. A ridiculous amount of content coming from Microsoft, now one of the biggest studio holders in the world. He continues, "By the way, I'll also say that today when you launch a new device, you do not eliminate every device in that family. If I make a game for the iPhone and the iPhone X comes out, I can simply write the game for the iPhone X." He says he could do all of that and pretend like the last several iPhones don't even exist. Now, there's much more to cover here, but I get what he's talking about. When you download a new app for your latest Android or iPhone, that doesn't mean that that app doesn't work on other phones. The app, of course, scales across the entire line of devices, unless, of course, the developer determines that that application is too demanding for older hardware. Now, if you're concerned about this aspect of what he's saying, trust me, we'll cover it all at the end of the video. We'll go into more depth, but for now, let's get back into the quote. Now, this is actually where he talks about Project Scarlett and its 2020 launch. Matt says when Scarlett launches, there will still be Xbox One S and Xbox One X. They will still be there. We really need to approach that family of devices in the same way that we approach PC. Now, of course, those that have been around the channel for a while know that this is exactly what I said they do. It's pretty much the first time we're hearing Matt Booty talk about it to pretty much confirm that that is their outlook, which is really cool. He says on PC, the content scales to meet the device. He says that's going to be the case for anybody. He's basically saying that whatever SKU you have, however much power you have, will determine what fidelity you run the game at, just like PC. And don't make the mistake of thinking they'll run into optimization issues like some PC developers do when it comes to performance. They have custom software for that. We'll cover that more later. He's saying that's not how things work anymore. He says it's not like if we roll back the clock 5 years, saying when a device was out and people just wanted you to throw your old one in the closet. He says they're going to deploy their games to not only Xbox Scarlett, which he goes into more detail on here in a second, but also 2017's Xbox One X, and of course, the 2013 launch Xbox One and the 2016 Xbox One S. All of these devices will work. This does include all of your controllers, all of your headsets, all confirmed to carry over. Now, last time I checked, that's a good thing. This time you are no longer forced to start over with your games, accessories, and more. You have the choice to keep your older hardware and play newer games on it, at least until that console is no longer supported, which will happen. But if you're like me, you'll be upgrading to Project Scarlett day one, something that is exponentially more capable than any Xbox out today. Now, when it comes to Scarlett and whether they'll leverage that power, Matt Booty has a quote for those that are worried. Matt continues, he says, "We will absolutely lean into the power of Scarlett." He says, "We think it'll be the best way to play." By the way, remember, Matt Booty did say this after all.
Will this be the ultimate premium product? Is that what you're going
I think
for?
it will absolutely be the most powerful immersive console on the market.
He continues by saying it'll be the best thing to put in your living room. But we also want to understand that there will be a family of Xbox devices out there that we want to support fully. Now, not only did he say it would be the best way to play, but he says they'll lean into the power and it'll be the best box you can put in your living room. 1 or 2 sentences basically saying we are going to be the best multiple times. Just keep in mind that a Sony executive has not done that. Not one time. He also talks about the importance of remembering that they've got a family of devices to worry about, a family of devices to support. Now, there's more to this article, but I gotta take several minutes and go over everything he just said while explaining really a large point of this video. Scalability is not a bad thing. There's no reason to fear that you won't get full performance from Scarlett, given that it may launch with lockhart or even be limited, quote unquote, by the Xbox One S. There is no proof for this. In fact, there are several different precautions that I will explain. Several different ways that they will ink the power out of this box. Now, I get thousands and thousands of comments every single week, and one of the biggest concerns I hear about is something like an Xbox Lockhart holding back something like Project Scarlett, the high-end model. What's stopping that mid-tier Lockhart or even that entry-model Xbox One S from holding back the high-end Xbox Anaconda or the Project Scarlett as we know it today? Well, honestly, it's not as complicated as some of you might think. Scalability has been a very important factor for PC gaming going on decades now. This gives you the flexibility as a gamer to run any number of parts in any one PC at any time. That is hundreds of millions of combination possibilities, by the way. Yet built properly, obviously, they all work. In large part due to the fact that everything is x86 now, and when the Xbox One and PS4 were introduced, that was one of the biggest things about them. They are x86 based. This compatibility, this ease of porting and development is the large reason that they went that route, whereas before they had completely custom architectures. I expect development for Scarlett and PlayStation 5 to be easier than ever, given that they are still x86 and they have so much more headroom. You're talking massive jumps in memory bandwidth, clock speed, GPU performance, and not to mention that quantum leap in CPU technology. They should be able to get things up and running faster than ever, easier than ever on these new systems, especially provided both Microsoft and Sony have their development tools up to date, fully featured, easy to use. So again, developers have been targeting multiple SKUs for decades now on PC. Think of this as a laser-focused version of that, where instead of hundreds of millions of combination possibilities, you have a set of 3 or 4 systems. It's a much more focused version of that mass optimization. Add to that the Project Scarlett development kit, which is one of the big secret weapons here. Now, if you've been around this channel for a while, you know that the Xbox One X development kit looks like this. You also know that development kits usually tend to have about double the RAM of the actual retail unit, so 24 gigabytes in this unit here. But by far, what is the most unique thing about it is the fact that it's actually 3 development kits in one. There are different performance profiles that developers can target, so they can tune for the base Xbox One. They can then hit a button and change that performance profile over to the Xbox One S with a slightly higher clock speed. That is, of course, to support HDR. And then they hit the button again and it goes up to the full 6 teraflop performance profile of the Xbox One X. It will unlock those resources and allow developers to develop for that high-end premium console. And again, this is all in one box. On top of that, Microsoft essentially invented a new transfer cable that could speed up the transfer of different game builds substantially, and even added an OLED display on the front of the Xbox One X development kit to give you real-time frame rate readouts and more. The dev kit also featured a 1TB SSD. So I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. You can pretty much plan on them doing the exact same thing with the new Zen 2 powered consoles this upcoming generation. Now, will it be more work combining that with some of the older systems and optimizing all that stuff? Of course it will. But this is where a little something called GameCore comes into play. GameCore is a very high dollar software designed to optimize and scale different games from platform to platform. Think of it as UWP 10.0. It's still not complete, but what it aims to do is speed up and ease the process of porting and scaling games to different platforms. So look, those are just a few of the reasons I wouldn't worry about the scalability of the next generation consoles. I wouldn't be worried about if they're going to get the real power out of Scarlett. After all, my RTX RTX 2080 is not held back by somebody's GTX 1050. Again, with Scarlett, there will be several layers of optimization, including the architecture itself being easier to develop for with that higher overhead, developers leveraging the Project Scarlett dev kits to get the most out of each version of the game, on top of what Game Core can do for software. And really, to cap it all off, just remember that this has been done on PC for literally decades. Tens and tens of millions of combinations of parts on PC, but at the end of the day, I still get the most out of my RTX 2080, though admittedly I never use it, well, unless I'm building videos for you guys. But again, just as I've said a million times before, think of the scalability in terms of the way PC does it. And remember, Microsoft are finally officially saying this themselves. The second source is all about your games, how things are going to work when you are transferring to the new system, all according to Phil Spencer. Now, first and foremost, he's asked if the Play Anywhere program will continue and have cross-gen support with games like Halo Infinite. Phil does respond and say the hope is to continue the Play Anywhere policy with Scarlett. And if you don't remember, Play Anywhere is where you buy a game on Xbox, you get it for free on PC, and vice versa, provided it is a Play Anywhere title. This includes all first-party games and more. He follows that up by talking about how rough the transitions were from Xbox to Xbox 360 all the way up to Xbox One. It's worth noting that all three of those were different architectures. Scarlett is the first new next-generation Xbox that is the same architecture, that being x86. Something tells me the transition will be infinitely smoother this time around. He continues, our goal for first party is that your games will be cross-generation and your achievements will move effectively with your save game. Now, if you actually look at the paragraph, you'll notice he calls your games entitlements because they are yours. You paid for these, right? He wants all of those things, all of your entitlements to go with you wherever you go. No matter what device, platform, location, he wants you to have all of your things. I don't see a negative to that. So again, just filling in little gaps I had not previously covered on the channel, this time about your games, your entitlements, Play Anywhere, how that stuff's going to transfer, and his hopes for the future of that program. But what did Matt Booty do? Oh, he ended up claiming 3 more times in 3 different ways that the Project Scarlett will be the best box you can have. The best place to play games on console, which is something they say today with the Xbox One X. He also covered the multi-SKU option quite well, using cell phones as an example. And while not a perfect example, it does get the point across. When you upgrade, you don't really think about if that phone's going to play the newest app or not. You simply upgrade, receive those benefits that you actually bought the phone for, and move along. Everybody can have the phone that scales to their price and needs. And hey, that's exactly what they're doing with the consoles. 2 different price levels, 2 different performance levels, maybe even more. Again, Matt Booty talking about effectively what will be Scarlett launch performance in 2020. The way all of the scales could have a lot to do with the launch of the console. Not only that, but Booty says they're going to lean heavy on power while telling you it's going to be the best box. But hey, let me know what you think about the scalability and how all of that goes down, all of the different layers of optimization there, all of the different factors at play. Ultimately, we'll see how closely all of that stuff turns out, but I have confidence that you will get full maximum performance from Scarlett, and it'll be largely down to Microsoft's first-party teams to really get that art direction going. Also, if you enjoyed the video, maybe hit that like button, share with a buddy. It really helps a lot. This video took forever to make as well. That's why I hate these long videos. But of course, if you want to become a patron, that link is down below. As always, you can check that out. The source information is down there as well. If you want to become a channel member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. And again, guys, thank you for everything that you do. Honestly, I'm sitting here looking at this 15-minute voiceover, and I'm melting into a puddle because I haven't edited any of it yet, and that's what takes the longest. So I'm gonna go. I'm Dealer. I'm out.